Hi, and welcome back to Lasting Peace. I am sitting on the floor here this afternoon because my incredibly obedient dog, come here, Brave, come here, would not come sit in my lap so we could talk to you to start with. And he actually plays a small role, or a large role, however you choose to see it, in my topic today here on Lasting Peace. A couple weeks ago, Brave and I went for a walk in the morning, and I had the idea that it was still cool enough. I was comfortable, but it's hot here in Tennessee. Hot, pretty much all the time. Hot, and I didn't notice really how hot he was getting. On the way home, he kept trying to pull over to the side of the road, and a couple times he crawled under the bushes, and I had to pull him back out. And I thought he was belly aching. He's done that before. And I did notice at one point that his panting got worse. His tongue got whiter, and it started to actually hang out the side of his mouth. And I finally picked him up and carried the silly dog about half mile on the way home. And later that afternoon, I was actually talking to a friend of mine who is a vet paramedic, or an animal paramedic. And he was telling me some of the signs and symptoms of a dog that is very near to heat exhaustion. And that happens to be dogs sweat through their tongues and the pads of their feet. And one of the symptoms is that their tongue, as they're panting, starts to get wider and flatter, and then eventually curves and hangs out the side of their mouth, usually the left. Well, now I know. So we've been much more careful to walk in the shade, to walk when it's cooler in the day, and to be careful of his tendencies. Not all dogs have trouble with the same temperatures, but I've discovered what is Brave's limit. And it was interesting to me as I was thinking about that. It's not the first time that considering biology from the standpoint of taking care of my animal or my pet has influenced me in my understanding of what it means to take care of my own body and recognizing that my own body has needs. A lot of times in an eating disorder, and I say a lot of times because I've discovered this in talking to others, but I know it from personal experience, we forget or choose not to believe that we have limitations, that we have physical weaknesses, and not even weaknesses, but physical needs, that we need to eat, that we need to rest. It seems we begin to take on an invincible feeling. We may see that others could die from starvation, or could overexert themselves, or deal with sleep deprivation, but it doesn't seem that it could happen to us, or that we're necessarily maybe worthy of rest or worthy of food, that those needs equate something that we are worthy of having and require and need to take careful precautions to provide for ourselves. And so I think perhaps if you can look at it that way, if you look at biology, at living organisms as a whole, even a cherished pet, how you have to care for them and how you understand their physical needs. Maybe it's your child or your niece or nephew, understanding what physical needs are and realizing that you're not the exception to the rule. The one other thing that I think maybe ties in a little bit here is that Brave, regardless of how hot he was going to keep coming along with me. And I've actually been told of dogs who will play fetch straight up to the point where they physically pass out. And it's the responsibility of the owner to be alert to that, to be alert to the signals and the signs, and to care for that pet. Many, many times in an eating disorder, we reach the place that particularly in malnutrition, we're unable to recognize those signs or admit our needs. And that's when someone who loves us steps in. They insist on treatment or counseling or a dietitian or meal plans. And it is something that they have been generously willing to take a responsibility for or a note of, and to impress upon us those needs and to care for us. It is then our only responsibility and our absolute necessity to respond to that, to receive that help, to be grateful for it, receive it, internalize it, and benefit from it. That's all I have today. I hope you enjoyed my biology lesson, I guess, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.